Hey guys, today I want to show you 10 JRPGs I beat twice in a row, and I don't mean the ones I finished 2, 3 or 4 times separately. I mean the ones where I immediately started a new playthrough from the very beginning, right after beating them, and you'll be surprised to know that some of my personal favorites are not in this video, so let's begin. Number 10, Super Mario RPG. This is the first RPG I ever beat in my life. This was around 20 years ago or so, a time when I didn't even know what an RPG was. I also knew no other games of its kind, so when I first beat it, I just didn't want to play anything else. I had fallen so in love with the game that I felt like I needed to go through it again. Plus, it hadn't been that long of a game, about 20 something hours. I wish I could tell you the exact playtime of that first playthrough, but my mom gave away the game, along with the Super Nintendo and others, to an orphanage. This was because a few years after, I got my first PlayStation and completely abandoned the SNES. I still resent that, but hey, at least it was for a good cause. I doubt those kids enjoyed the heck out of that game just like I did because they probably couldn't understand English. Who knows where that SNES and that copy ended up with. I wonder if they still got my files on it. Number 9, Ragnarok Tactics. My story with this hidden gem is kinda weird. There's 3 initial routes to play through, each with different battles, events and party members. But did you know you can change routes midway at some points if you make a different choice? The thing is, I only got through one route when I first played it and didn't come back to it for some time. The second time around though, I decided to beat it with all characters since the branching point starts quite early in the game. So in a row, I got all routes completed, which unlocked the 4th route, the one that leads to the true ending. There's a 5th route which is known as the Dark Route, but it's very tricky to get it. A guide is necessary for this and I've never unlocked it. I did try it though, but I remember doing something wrong and messing up. It was a long time ago. Maybe one day I'll go back to it and unlock it. Number 8, Atelier Shallie. There's one simple reason why I beat this Atelier game twice in a row, and that is the fact that it's a pretty short game. This was the first title where they finally removed the time limit to complete the story quests. Still, I focused entirely on those and ignored most of the side content. If you do that on the original PS3 version, you can beat the game in less than 15 hours. So when I beat it, I was still craving for more. What I did was start a second playthrough with the other Shallie, as in this game you can pick your protagonist between the 2 girls, but about 90% or more of the story and events are the same. As far as I remember, you don't get a true ending or different ending if you beat the game with both. Such is the case of RPGs like Hexis Force, another one I beat twice in a row, but in that game you kinda have to do both characters if you want the real ending. Folklore on the PS3 is another example, but that game forces you to do both. Cartier is another example, so these types of games don't count. I didn't really beat them twice in a row. Anyway, you get the idea. Shallie was so good that I didn't mind a second playthrough right afterwards. Number 7, Time and Eternity. I'm just kidding, I've never even finished once this Number 7, Land Racer 1 and 2 Remakes. These 2 remakes come with a surprisingly neat feature that lures you easily into beating the game twice or multiple times. Here you can go back to any event and or mission where a branching point starts, but I like being overpowered after beating a challenging game, so in both RPGs I started a second playthrough right after going through one route and getting one ending. So that's what I did, and this is when I started using this feature over and over again, just to see the different routes and endings. I confess I didn't get every single one of them, but I got the majority and was left pretty satisfied, so I did beat both games twice in a row. However, I can't say I did so more than 2 times because I was just going back on the timeline, kinda like what you can do in Nier Automata by merely replaying one chapter or another, all in order to get the many different endings. So with games like Automata, I can't really say once again that I beat them twice in a row. Number 6. Code Vein. Listen, this is a really hard action RPG, and the only two reasons why I immediately started a new playthrough right after beating it are as follows. First, because I missed one stupid item that I needed in order to get the true ending, so I was pissed off because I had gotten the bad ending. And second, because it's got a delicious new game plus. The type where everything carries over, including your level. Can you imagine the satisfaction I felt beating the crap out of all those damn bosses in a few hits? The same ones that brutalized my characters several times during my first playthrough? It feels awesome, I tell ya. It's that very sense of power of overcoming a super difficult boss that gave you a lot of trouble in just a few seconds. Yes, I got the true ending this time, and I loved it, even though it led to the creation of this rant video a few days later. Number 5. Shin Megami Tensei 5. The SMT series are known for having multiple routes and endings. In the mainline titles there's usually the Chaos, the Law, and the Neutral endings. This 5th entry also had a true ending, so I got the Chaos ending first on my first playthrough, but just like with Code Vein, a sweet new game plus was waiting for me with everything carrying over, including your characters and his demons' levels. So yeah, that huge sense of satisfaction of destroying all those hard-ass bosses in a few turns made going through it all again worth it. On my first playthrough, I did save on a separate file before locking myself into the Chaos route, but I just wanted to restart the whole game again to get overpowered and reach that very same point again, now for the Law route. Since I was over-leveled, I didn't restart the game a third time though. I saved on a separate file and reloaded it to go for the Neutral ending. I never got the true ending though. You need to defeat a stupidly hard super boss called Shiva, and that's total BS. Number 4. Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor. This is a special case because I've beaten twice in a row both versions, original on the Nintendo DS and its port to the 3DS. Now, once again we're talking about the same situation as in the previous two games, except for one little difference. Barely anything carries over on a New Game Plus here. However, one of your demons does carry over, more if you do certain things. I don't remember exactly if it was Lucky or Titania on my first playthrough of the original DS version. I think it was Titania. Everybody else was back at level 1, but it didn't matter, since they all gain experience after every map, which means I cheesed through the entire game the second time with just that demon and eventually was overpowered. I made sure this time to use different save files at the decision points so I wouldn't have to start a complete playthrough for the third time. Have you ever done that? Beaten RPG 3 times in a row? Anyway, number 3 is Devil Survivor 2. I did everything in the first game between both the DS and 3DS versions, but I barely played the original DS release of the sequel. Different story, characters and all that jazz, not connected to the first one. So Record Breaker, the port to the 3DS, is the one I beat twice in a row, but I'll confess I only did just that. I got all routes and endings on its predecessor, but I don't think I quite love this second game as passionately. Here I remember carrying over 2 demons for a New Game Plus. That's what I did to get a different route and ending this time. However, I never did the others even though I saved on different slots before the branching points. Perhaps I'll go back one day and do the others? In case you're curious, the routes I did were Yamato's Way and my way, called A New World. No spoilers, don't worry. Number 2, Growlancer, Heritage of War. Just like the SMT games, the Growlancer series have multiple endings, but in their case it's more about the routes than the endings. In case you didn't know, the same developers of these games are the ones who developed Devil Survivor 1 and 2 with Atlus. But Heritage of War is the only one in the series I've beaten twice in a row. Its New Game Plus doesn't let you carry over anything at all. Instead, they give you a bunch of accessories that greatly boost your stats, so you're technically overpowered from the start of your second run. I recommend this so you can just cheese through everything and get all different routes and endings, using separate save files this time around. Yep, I love that type of New Game Plus, when you can just destroy everything easily the second time. Growlancer 5 is nowhere near as hard as the SMT games or Code Vein, but it's still pretty challenging sometimes. And number 1, obviously, Chrono Cross. In here, the New Game Plus carries almost everything over, including your levels. In Growlancer and Devil Survivor, all active party members gain experience at the end, but some may get a little bit more depending on how well they did. In Cross, there's a party level, not a character level per se, so no matter what, everybody levels up after each boss fight, but only if they're alive at the end of the battle. Individually, the active party gets a random stat increase, especially when fighting regular enemies. I was so impressed with this game back then, when I first played it, that I wasted no time in getting all the endings and characters in a few sittings. Since you get a fast forward option, my time with each playthrough was greatly reduced, but of course I used other separate save files after my third playthrough to get the rest of the endings. Most of them are kinda silly, but back then I just didn't care. I wanted to do everything. This game, Growlancer 5 and Devil Survivor, are some of the very few RPGs I've ever completed 100% in my entire life. As you noticed, not a single Suikoden or Fire Emblem game was here, and those are my favorite JRPG series ever. Yeah, I've never beaten any of them twice in a row. Could it be the lack of New Game Plus? Not every JRPG in this video had it, but most of them did. Being over-leveled from the start is one important feature for me to beat a game twice in a row. What about you? Leave a comment with your list if you want to. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!